Oh, my bad. Oh, I got it. So this meeting will be recorded for this meeting will be recorded for self viewing purposes for club members, and so feel free to utilize the chat quietly during the meeting. Show support by clapping after the speaker is done. And yeah, for the timer, it is recommended to put the time wallpaper down, but like you already do it, so it's good. Yeah. So yeah, mute yourself when you're not speaking and be mindful of background noises. And let's have a great meeting. So pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And I'll pass it on to Xavier Taylor, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Anson. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for coming to today's meeting. I'd like to, since we start about 36 to a minute late-ish, get it on the road, bringing up our Toastmaster for the day, Miss Emily.
Start by introducing our grammarian for today, Mr. Joseph.
Good morning, everyone. Or sorry, not morning. Why is it morning? It's good afternoon, everyone. I am the grammarian for today, and it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all of the speakers, listen carefully to their language. I just call myself saying and take note of any improper language like whatever, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. And it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day, which is exaggerate. It is a verb, and it means to enlarge a fact or statement beyond what is actual or true. For example, John always exaggerates the amount of homework he has to do. Okay, and I will now pass it on to back to the Toastmaster.
I'm going to turn it to our timer, Mr. Tinsu.
Hello, everybody. Today I am the timer, and as for the timer role, I will be responsible for keeping track of the time for everybody's speeches and the table topics. So for the timer role, at 1 minute for speeches, for table topics, actually, I will have a green background, if I can show this. It'll be a green background. And for 1.5 minutes, I will have a yellow background. And when at 2 minutes, I'll have a red background. So for the green background, it's you are on time. For the yellow, you're in the time. And red is you should probably wrap it up soon within a minute. And then that'd be it. And then for speeches usually are 5 to 7 minutes. And for 5 minutes, uh I'll have green. If I can get it, there we go, green, and then for 6 minutes would be yellow, and for 7 minutes I will raise the red, and that'll be it. And back to you, Toastmaster.
I believe your mic is muted.
Yes, we have a slight change to the agenda today. The first speaker will be Deanna. She's probably our youngest speaker ever. What grade are you in, Deanna? Second grade. She's in the second grade. Yes. How exciting. She has been practicing this icebreaker speech. So I will be her evaluator. Okay, since I'm her evaluator, I will briefly describe what I will be looking for. The objective of Deanna's icebreaker is to discover the speaking ability she already has, and for us to know a little about her. And the time, I believe, is 4 to 6 minutes. Let's welcome Deanna then.
I'm doing the 2.5 years transaction in school. I also did piano. It was not my favorite, but I learned a few songs. I worked with my friends. We play things like a board game. And we like to find family. I lived in New York. I like the Statue of Liberty and the Empire State Building. I also been to St. Louis. I like going to the art. I also went to the aquarium with my friends. I also been to Mexico twice. I like the city just and playing with the dogs. I also been to Atlanta once. I like the mountains, and I found a souvenir in Juneau, Alaska, next to the waterfall. I also have a dog named Copper and a cat named Dora. My favorite wild animals are cheetahs and wolves. I love cheetahs because they're fast and wolves because they're cute. My name is Sienna, and this is who I am. Thank you, guys.
That was very speech. And next I will be introducing our second evaluator and speaker. And it will be Mr. Horace Taylor evaluating Mr. Jason Pendergrass.
Thank you, Toastmasters. How many of you have ever had an idea for a product or an invention that you thought, if I could bring this to market, I could make some money, I could solve some problems, but you never took the next step because you did not have a roadmap, and your idea, it faded away. I've been there myself. I'm not going to exaggerate the feelings I had, but it made me sick. I had a real opportunity to make some money, and my idea faded. I don't want that to happen to any of you. So I'm going to explain the steps you need to take next time you have that opportunity to bring your product from concept to working prototype to consumer product for sale in the stores near you. In 2015, a local entrepreneur approached me. He had this opportunity. He's a family man. And at that time, his daughters played competitive soccer, which meant every Saturday and every Sunday in the summer months, he, his wife, his friends, and family were at the soccer fields and sweating in the hot summer heat. The sun was beating down, it was humid, no airflow, and they were miserable. But they were there because they're supportive of their family. One day he thought to himself, I'm going to buy me a portable ceiling fan to put in my canopy. He had a canopy he could hide from the sun, but it was stagnant. So he was going to get a portable ceiling fan. So he went home and he searched online. He could not find one. He searched in out good stores, sporting event stores, sporting goods stores, I'm sorry. No luck. To his surprise, this product did not exist. So he became an entrepreneur. The first step, and he had accomplished this before we met, he developed this business plan. It's a written document, it's a living document that will change throughout the process. It identifies such key attributes as your target market, your competitors, your strengths, your weaknesses, your marketing strategy, your sales strategy, your distribution channel, and so much more. Keep in mind at this stage of the rough draft, it will be tweaked and modified throughout the journey. But it's the first step, build the foundation. The second step is where I got involved. He approached me for engineering support because it was time to build an engineering scope of work, which is basically the technical attributes of your product or invention. All the physical attributes you can think of, you must be precise, quantifiable, and detailed. If you leave out critical information, it's going to cost you a lot of money. You have to, for our project, we have to identify the physical dimensions, battery life, functionality, quality and safety standards, fan speeds, control, and so many aspects. At that point, you're ready to create your engineering drawing. That includes 3D rendering. Again, a rough draft, it's a starting point, no worries. But you design your product, and then you apply for a patent. You've got to protect your intellectual property. So you apply for a patent, a utility patent to be precise. And from that point, you're protected. Now, in this case, we eventually had to import from China. So he applied for a patent in the US for the country of commerce and the country of origin, which is China. So it's an international patent. So you must be protected at every angle. From there, we reach out and find a manufacturer. Some manufacturers will be interested in working with you and some will not. From there, you start negotiating your business deal, understanding minimum orders, lead times, price. It's the early stages, and your engineering scope of work will eventually, when it's finalized, be your deliverable.
This is between from Augusta. Do we have a new link or something?
From there, they will be sending you samples. You will take the sample, you will evaluate it, and you will provide feedback. They'll make improvements upon your prototype. That will ping pong back and forth until you find a finished good, a final product. And then from there, you complete your order, you import, you start selling, you're now in business. And you execute your sales strategy based on your business plan. So your project takes full circle. Each one of these steps is very linear. It's a straight path. There's nothing confusing, but just understand that every milestone, there are going to be challenges. And in engineering support, I solve those challenges for my client. And there's all kinds of challenges along the way. But I want to encourage you, and I want to challenge you. The next time that you are working on a problem, and it's causing pain in your life, it's causing inconvenience, it's causing some hassle, think to yourself, is there a product I can bring to market that would solve this problem and make me some money? And if you do that, and you follow these steps I presented, if you follow these steps, you have a chance to do something cool and say cool at your next tailgate. Thank you, Toastmaster.
You ready for that?
I helped the guy.
Thank you for that really informative speech. And next I will introduce our table topics master, Mr. David Taylor.
All right. Thank you, Miss Emily, for the introduction. I'd just like to start our table topics question. And the first question I will give is, would you sacrifice your life for somebody else's? And if so, what would be the conditions or situation for you to do so? And I will bring up Mr. Anson.
So the question was whether if I would sacrifice my life and what are the conditions. So for me, unless you're like somebody.
All right. Thank you, Miss Emily, for the introduction. I'd just like to start our table topics question. And the first question I will give is, if or would you sacrifice your life for somebody else's? And if so, what would be the conditions or situation for you to do so? And I will bring up Mr. Anson.
So the question was whether if I would sacrifice my life and what are the conditions. So for me, unless you're like somebody very important, I probably would not sacrifice my life. So the conditions are probably like if you're a loved one, so like my family. So like if my parents are ever in like some kind of dangerous situation, I would probably sacrifice my life for them. But in turn, I don't think they would like me to sacrifice my life for them because like they want me to have something to live for. So if I ever do sacrifice my life, it'll be like somebody I like love relation in a relationship, or like if I ever have a child, I would most definitely sacrifice my life for my child, right? So yeah, depending on like the situation, I think the only reason why I would sacrifice my life is for like my child or like yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Anson, for that. Next up, I'd like to ask if there was, or let's say around 5 years ago, if there's something that you haven't done that you would have liked to started, or something you're doing now that you would have liked to start doing earlier in life, what would that be? And I will ask Mr. Tim.
The question was if I had to do something 5 years before than I do now. Is that the question?
Yes, if there's something you do now that you weren't doing when you were younger. Yes.
So I'm only 15, so I guess 5 years ago would be when I was 10. So when I was 10, I'd still be in school, and I guess the main thing that I would have loved to do, or not loved, but like I'd when I'm right here now in this time period, I'd rather myself before have studied more and focused more in school than I did in other places. And it's just when I get to the point where I am now, I realize how important actually studying and learning how to study is because with how much work high school there is in high school and just homework and stuff, if you don't really have a good study habit, you end up procrastinating so much, and it's just not very a fun experience to have to do all your work in one day. So if I was like 10 years ago, or when I was 10 years old and I had learned how to study properly and just study more, I probably would have a lot easier time than would probably have a lot easier time now than I did before. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the answer, Mr. Anson. I meant Tim, sorry, wrong person. um, Next, okay. Why, let me, all right, got it. Would you rather learn online or in person? Why would you choose the answer that you choose? And this will be for Miss or Mr. Owen.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
If you would rather choose to learn online or in person, why would you do which one you choose?
You should get virtually learn because if I had to choose between learning online and learning in person, I would rather learn in person because during my experience learning virtually, I was um I was very I was not paying attention that much because most of the teachers didn't care enough to make us turn our cameras on, and I didn't feel as involved in the class, and it wasn't I wasn't as immersed in the learning, so I did not learn the material well, And those were my worst years for grades, so I would definitely choose learning in person because I learn much better in person. Another reason why I like learning in person is because I can see my friends every day, which makes being in class the experience, it makes it a lot better and a lot more manageable, and it's not as boring. And another reason I like to learn in person is because I really enjoy the atmosphere of school where everyone is together and learning together. And in person, I just felt kind of lonely learning, just sitting there in my room for 8 hours a day. So all in all, I would choose overwhelmingly to learn in person.
Excellent answer, Mr. Owen. Next question. I have another question. Would you rather be super athletic or super intelligent and have the memory capabilities to remember everything or anything that you choose? Next, I will ask that to Mr. Eric.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again?
To be athletic or really smart.
Oh, okay. I didn't get the last part.
So I would choose to be really like smart because although I could get like a ton of money being like an athlete, being smart is just so much better because when you're like in a dire like situation, for example, there's about to there's gonna be like a tornado happening in like 2 minutes, and like you don't know how to like live with that, and you're just all you know how to do is just throw a football like 60 yards. Like you could run, but like I think it's gonna catch up. And so I would just be really smart so I have like the knowledge to like, for example, I know where to hide, or like I know like what to do, like how to counter it. I think it's just a better option. Like my examples aren't that good, but um, I just think being smart is just so much better because you do get a lot of attention, like for being an athlete, but you also get like a lot of attention for being like a nerd or really smart. But all in all, I would choose to be really smart because it's just better.
Thank you for that one. Intake. Next, would you take a pill? Say you could take a pill and get $1 trillion, but you have to go back in time and live from the dinosaur era up to this current time period. Your body can be in its best physical shape, your mind sharp as ever, and you don't get diseases or anything like that. Would you take that deal or not? And we'll ask this to Miss Mia.
If there was a pill to give me $10 trillion and send me back to the dinosaur era, personally, I would take that pill and risk it all. So I could get $10 trillion. I'll get that later in life, like a few thousand years later. And if I'm basically an invincible human being with all the knowledge I have now, and I go back into the past, who knows? I could accomplish great things that would have been invented by other people. I would take credit for it instead. And not only that, I would have hopefully good enough memory to be able to remember all the dinosaurs and all those venom creatures from the past that are now extinct. The only downside about it is that I'm a woman. Because back in the past, the women were like treated really badly somewhat, so that's a concerning thing. But it's all worth it for $10 trillion. That's
Excellent, 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 excellent. Next, let's see, time check. Okay, we're still good on time. All right. Next up, I forgot the question. Oh, all right, got it. What is one thing that you consider worth going to war for? And we'll ask this to Miss Gina.
One thing that I would consider worth going to war for, would be all the things that people have gone to the war for before, such as, racial justice and like women's rights. Um, this would affect many people because otherwise, people would be in a system of oppression. And another thing that I would consider going to work for would be my friend. This is really cheesy, but I really like them. And they're very, they're very sweet, but I like to come. So, even though it only be a few people, it would be worth it because, I get to see them at the end of the day. And, so, is there something I thought where it would be, I think the right or woman?
Thank you. Next, if you okay, let me ask this first. How many of you know of different school systems from different countries? Just a show of hands, real quick. Okay. All right. So let me ask, if there is one school system that you would like to choose to be in, whether it be the current one or one from a different country or anything, which one would that be, or which one would you choose and why? And I give the question to whoever pops up first, if you want to answer.
I'll answer. Okay. So from what I know is I'll compare between the here in the US versus the school system in China. I recently went there this past summer and I was able to talk to some of my friends there on how they're doing in school. And from what I heard, it was pretty stressful, their lives. They use a term called juan, which means like tangled. And basically the school system there is, from my understanding, they go from elementary school all the way to high school, and all in hopes, all in the effort of scoring a high score in the Gavel exam, which is a final exam that they take at the end of high school to determine where they end up in college. So the place that they end up in the future or where they get to go all depends on this one test score that they study for hours and hours and hours for many years. And the amount of workload some of these kids have is actually crazy because I heard one friend said, or a friend of my friends said that he studied for like 12 hours a day and had only like 4 hours of sleep every night. Is actually crazy. But I'd say it's pretty overkill, right? Compared to here there's a lot more freedom to do extracurriculars, sports, not just academics. Yes, academics are important. I think it's very important, but also having a social life and things you get to enjoy things outside of school is also very important. You got to have a balance between the two. And in China, it's the conditions there are worse. in terms of that aspect. So if I would choose, I would still stay in the US for school. Thank you.
Answer, excellent answer. I see you use almost all the time too. Next up, we have if you could change or switch lives with somebody for a week, who would that person be and why? We'll give that to Miss Emily.
So the question was if I could switch lives with anybody for how long? A week. A week. I would probably switch lives with I forgot his name. The owner of like Tesla and like SpaceX. But I would definitely switch lives with Elon Musk just because of like how much money he has and how creative he is. I want to know what's going on inside of his head, how he comes up with all these like innovative, inventive ideas, and I want to take some of that for myself. So maybe I'll be able to do something great in the future as well, just like him. So I want to switch lives with him to be able to see inside of his head a little bit, and then also because he has so much money, obviously, just like in one of the earlier table topics questions, money has a big impact on everything. So he's so rich, so I would honestly love to switch lives with him, just be able to spend a little bit of his money, just a little bit, just a bit, because he has so much. Yeah. And then, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Next, this is probably going to be another bigger question, or rather, would you rather kind of question. See next. Would you take a pill, say you could live in your physical prime body, right? All the way up until you die of natural causes, like age-wise. Let's say you live until 90 and your body stays in its physical best condition every single day up until the day you pass. Would you take that, or would you rather live up until however long you choose without any consequence, but your body still deteriorates over time? So you could do anything, whether it be taking money, becoming a king of a country, and doing bad stuff, anything. And we'll ask this question final to Miss Shirlina.
So if I was going to choose between a pill that could let me be really healthy and have a prime body until like 90, or if I was going to choose a pill where I could do anything and live however long I want, but my body's always deteriorating, I would choose the first pill because, well, if you choose a second pill, your body's always deteriorating, so whatever you do, like becoming a king or whatever, it won't be a really good idea since your body will be deteriorating and you'll be sick a lot, which wouldn't be really good as your king or doing anything else. And if you choose the first pill, you will have a really happy life, and I think that's very important. So if I was going to choose a pill, I would choose the first one.
Excellent answer. Next up, we're still a couple minutes behind, so all right, got it. Would you either end world hunger or cure cancer? And we'll ask this to Mr. Horace Taylor.
Interesting question. Cure hunger, cure cancer, or end world hunger? Cure cancer or end world hunger? I suspect that not eating properly, a proper nutritious diet may somehow be remotely connected to a person developing cancer. I can't say what cancer because this is hypothetical. However, if I could cure cancer or end world hunger, I would try to do them both using my hypothetical. And here's how I plan to do it. Since I set the stage by saying the cancer is a product of hunger, if I properly feed you from the time you are a child until you reach that magical age when you decide to pass on, you would have lived a fulfilled life, never experiencing any illness, in particular cancer. So that's how I would end world hunger and cure cancer. Thanks for the question. Back to you.
Thank you for the answer, Mr. Horace. Next up. If you could live with your current knowledge, would you rather live in the past or go to the future and learn new stuff from that time? So, let me rephrase this. Would you rather go with your current knowledge to the past and live up to this point and live out the rest of your normal life? Or would you go to the future, learn stuff from that time, come back to this era, and then live out your normal life with the knowledge that you gained? Which one would you rather choose? And we'll give this to Mr. Jonathan.
Okay, hopefully this looks okay. Wait, let me just tilt this up. Okay. So the question was, would I rather go back in time with my current knowledge or go to the future and go back in time, or yeah, go back to the future with and gain more knowledge. I would say there's I'm kind of tempted to do one or the other because if I go to the past, I could um I could invest in like Bitcoin or something, or uh, invest in successful stocks, so I could gain money or learn more about the past by going to the past with my current knowledge, or I could go into the future, and that's what I choose because by going to the future, I can learn what our civilization or society is going to lead us, and try to prevent those bad things from happening, and go back in our current time to prevent some of those bad happenings. So I would rather choose to see the future than to get some gain for myself in the past. So yeah, that's my answer to the question. Thanks.
It's my question, and I believe we have time for one final question. So, how many of you first watch or have watched anime? All right. So this is gonna be another one. Whoever jumps up gets the question or gets the answer. If you had to choose either a power system from an anime, whether it be devil fruits, being able to become a Super Saiyan, or any power system from any anime, put that in this world, which one would you choose? That's it. And whoever jumps up and wants to answer.
So, I personally, if I had the option to choose, I would probably choose like Super Saiyan because like if someone like pisses me off, and then just have like this incredible gene of like whatever it is, and just blast them off into space. And like it also be really cool because it's like there's a bad guy and there's like a crowd of people watching. Like for example, they're robbing the bank, right? They have like a ballistic missile launcher. I could I could have the same thing and just obliterate them. And then I would also get money from that because like I saved the entire place. And then not only that, but like it's just fun to practice.
You can like fight other people.
Yeah, you can fight them. Yeah, so it's like they had like it's like I'm bringing it into the whole world. I know it's already in Fortnite, but like if you were to bring it into like the real world, it'd be fun to have like matches. Like for example, you have like infinite lives in the matches, and you can just fight them, and it'd just be like fun to have. And also, you break useful. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, and that will conclude our table topics session. Sorry for the big pauses during each question. I had some, but I thought they were pretty basic and lame, so I tried to come up with new ones that I haven't done before. But I'd like to turn the controller back over to our Toastmaster, Miss Emily, and we can get into our next portion of the meeting. Thank you, everyone, for your answers.
Back to the table topic session. Next, I will introduce our general evaluator, Mr. Jonathan Chad.
Okay. I'll direct the mic to our first evaluator, which is it should be Miss Anna Taylor. Anna Zhang, sorry.
Wow. First of all, we have the youngest Toastmaster ever. Her name is Diana. She's a second grader. And she did an icebreaker today. She's talking about what she likes to do, and she likes to travel. She listed all these places, and that's amazing. I haven't been to all these places myself. So yeah, it is a very good experience you already have it at this young age. I really admire your parents taking you to all these places. This is so cool. And you talk about your pets. You have a dog and a cat. Yeah. And you described the different places you've been to, what you liked. So those are the good things to talk about in your icebreaker. We got to know what you like and your life and your even daily life. You have your pets. But I would have to admit that you didn't know the icebreaker will take 4 to 6 minutes. You probably use 3 minutes, a little bit 1 minute short. So let me do some experiments. If you can extend it to 4 minutes, what would you want to add to your speech, Diana? You want to talk about your dog? What's his name? Pepper, right? Would you want to talk about your Pepper? What kind is he? And what he likes to lick you, or she likes to sleep with you, or what that? You want to talk about that? Okay, you would. Okay. How about your cat? Yeah. So yeah, next time if you know your speech is gonna be this much of time in your practice, you can practice. Add some more stuff in there or take away some stuff to make your speech meet that time range. Okay, but great job. I got to know you a lot, and I cannot wait to hear the second speech. Congratulations.
Okay. Now we will hear from our second evaluator, Mr. Horst Taylor.
Thank you so much, Mr. General Evaluator. Today, we had a very interesting speech from one of our adult coordinators. His speech was titled, Bringing Your Invention to Market. Bringing Your Invention to Market. The title alone is very suggestive, in my opinion. And the presentation that Mr. Jason gave us all was very or spoken like a true businessman. And it really took me down into the weeds mentally about the supply and demand aspect of business. Now, what was very catching for my eye was the fact that Mr. Jason had this prop, and I call it a prop as in a propeller, like it's on an airplane or something, but maybe it was just a ceiling fan. I don't know. But my point is this. With that prop that he had with him, and he continued to hold it, I was mentally, my eyes were focused on the prop. And though I listened and continued to listen, my eyes stayed trained on the prop. And I started to think, okay, I hear you, but what are you going to do with this prop? So mentally, my mind was going, okay, do something with this prop. Stop talking to me, right? But I think the content was spot on, an excellent speech. I would only say, let's say you do another speech with a prop. Consider then giving us all of the background information, and then when you're ready to bring the prop up, we will transition with you to the prop, and we know now we're going to see a demonstration of what you did or what you talked about. But I thought it was a wonderful and excellent speech. Just consider that for in the future. If you have that prop with you, somehow either point out a couple of things as you're talking, or if the focus was to show and demonstrate with it, then at some point, once you have spoken with us about everything, then say, now let's go, we're going to put it in play for you. Wonderful job. Thank you so much. And thank you, Deanna. Excellent job, both of you. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Okay, thank you, Tim. I think everyone did pretty great on their times today. Now let's hear from Joseph for his grammarian report.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. So for our first speaker, Yana, from my end, I didn't really hear. It was a little hard for me to hear what she was saying, but I don't think there was any improper speeches, improper words. Mr. Pendergrass, the second speaker, I also did not hear any improper speeches at all. In the table topic session, Anson, there was only a couple of likes. Tim, there was around 3 or 4 uhs. Owen, there was also 3 or 4 ums. Eric had a couple likes and then a few ums. Mia, I did not hear any, which is great. Gina, there were only 2 ums. I believe I used a couple ums for sure. I'm not sure exactly how much. Emily had 1 and a few likes. And then is it Miss Sherlina had, I did not hear any, which is awesome. Mr. Horace Taylor also did not have any. And then moving on to, oh no, Jonathan, my brother. Jonathan needs to work on his stuff. He has 7 uhs and 3 ums. Come on, bro. Eric only had a couple of likes. And then in the evaluation, Miss Anna Jung, I did not hear any, which is awesome. And then Mr. Horace Taylor had a couple and us. Unfortunately, I did not hear the use of the word of the day. Exaggerate. I'm not sure if it may have mentioned or
better next one.
Yeah.
Better next time.
Yeah. But that concludes my grammarian's report. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Joseph. Now I'll go and list some of my notes from the meeting. So everybody, the meeting started on time, almost on time. And I was kind of surprised that there were so few people online today compared to last week. That's fine. And Tim and Joseph, they did a great job introducing their roles as timer and grammarian. One thing I'd like to point out is that Mr. Pendergrass's speech was not properly introduced, so I missed the title, and I think that would be beneficial to at least know the topic before listening to the speech. One more thing is that maybe the word of the day can be a bit more challenging, even though nobody used it. But it was exaggerate, and I believe that last week's word of the day was behave. And I think last year we did a pretty good job with using some of these uncommon words as the word of the day, so we can try to bring some of that back. And Xavier, you did a great job on the table topics questions. And yeah, that concludes my evaluation. Back to the Toastmaster.
I'm just gonna go ahead and turn it to Mr. Xavier Taylor.
Again, hello. Thank you all for coming. I believe we have some few people who came in late. I believe they may be from the Mock Academy. So I'm sure the new meeting ID maybe messed some people up. Sorry for the mishap that happened. But other than that, overall, I think we did it very well this meeting, and I'm glad to see all your faces. Yes, I see we have a hand question.
Yes, thank you, Xavier. Good job explaining the Zoom ID. I want to emphasize that again. If you know somebody who want to join the meeting, please use the new Zoom ID, and that's the first one on the agenda. And also, I noticed Trini, Mr. Williams, and Miss Pinkley are in the gallery. So I would want Mr. Williams to give a few words to us.
Good afternoon, Gavel Club. My name is Trini Williams. I'm more than delighted, and that is not to exaggerate. I am more than delighted to be here on today to hear all the wonderful speakers, everyone who's given evaluations. It's been a great and wonderful time. The Mock Academy in Augusta, Georgia is participating, and they're excited about it as well. They're one of our first young groups that we help sponsor to be a part of Toastmasters, and we are very excited about them participating again this year. All I have to say is keep up the great work, everybody. Xavier Taylor, you sound wonderful. I've seen the improvement and the advancement of you over the past few years. Man, you've grown too. How tall are you now? Thank you so very much for doing a wonderful thing today, and keep up the good work. And thank you, Horace, as well for all of your support.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. And Miss Pinkley, would you like to give us all the youth some words?
Hi, everybody. I came in late. Thanks to Trini, he gave us the new link. We have some students represented. We have Raghav, Aaron, Jillian, and Josiah, I think, represented today from Augusta. We have about 25 children signed up for the Toastmasters, so we should have a larger crowd next time since we do have a new link now. We are excited to be a part of Toastmasters, and I want everybody to have a great day. Everybody's done a wonderful job.
Thank you, Trina. Well, thank you for everybody's participation and the support. And we're going to talk about next week's speakers, right? Speaker role and meeting roles.